is True Love is Found in True Families. And, of course, I am Reverend Walter Frank Jr. I don't know how that happened. And I'm pastor of Family Church of San Diego. So God works in mysterious ways. God is mysterious. So let's go. So one of the things, I went to the Phoenix Project last 2 weeks ago, and one of the big topics was, how do we witness? How do we witness anymore? Right? We think our church struggled and hasn't grown so much in the last few years. But all the churches have struggled and haven't grown so much in the last few years. How do we witness? What are we doing? Okay? What are we teaching? So here's what I think. What are we teaching that can help people in their lives of faith? If we teach people what helps them in their lives of faith and their lives of love, then they'll want to be a part of our True Parents organization. So we think, of course, divine principle is one of those clear arrows that points to true life or true love. You guys all right back there? Something funny? Anyhow, we used to teach Kausa, right? Kausa, Soviet Union fell. We're not teaching Kausa so much anymore. But here's what I think. Of all the things we ever taught, true family values is the most value to the average person out there who's trying to raise a family, trying to get married, trying to stay in love, trying to create some long-lasting love relationship. I thought true family values was the special thing that Reverend Moon had to offer. And in Father's autobiography, he spends chapters and chapters and chapters at the end of his life giving his peace messages and his talks on true family values, the value of family. So that's what we're going to discuss today, and hopefully you'll find it valuable as well. Reverend Moon changed the name of our church and our organization from the Holy Spirit Association for the Unification of Christianity to specifically said, no more of that. Here's who we are. We're the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification. We're the Family Federation now because he understood family is essentially even more intrinsic to all peoples on earth. Family is what we hope for, right? Sort of like that song said, we hope for a family. Can't I have someone who's waiting for me at home, who loves me and wants me to be there, is caring for me, has a protective haven for me to dwell in? We'll get to protective haven in a few minutes. So I thought this sermon is for ACLC because we want to influence ministers. We want to influence them to become the agents of happy change and creation of true family values and true families. Women's Federation for World Peace, because saying, what's it about? World peace. And we come to the conclusion that families are the representative. 90% of all mothers are women, right? Thank you very much. Just kidding. Just kidding. Witnessing to your friends, tribe, teach them theories of love and spiritual development. I'm very motherly, by the way, to my children. I have a great maternal instinct. Anyhow, first gen, hopefully you'll become wonderful grandparents, and this is essential. Reverend Moon could see the third generation, when you senior citizens in here, you original disciples become grandparents, it's going to change the world. It's going to ignite a spark that won't go out forever. And young adults, there's young adults in the room, right? Here, some who are married, some not. Someday you may, by God willing, you have children of your own, and you can grow children that become one with God. That's a whole goal. That's a whole goal. And you need to understand the concepts that will allow you to do that, the tools that will allow you to build true family. So this comes from, as a peace-loving global citizen, the autobiography of Reverend Sun Myung Moon. Page 221. He says this, Reverend Moon says, and this gives you some really valuable advice. No matter, true love is found in true families. No matter how much a man and woman may love each other, a complete and happy family must have parents who act as a protective shield around the home, and there must at least be one child for the parents to love. Right? Many, many parents who are childless do everything they can to adopt a child. Right? We're all for adoption, by the way. Adopt a child to have a child. But this is very special words here. Father says, Reverend Moon says, a protective shield. A protective shield, right? Even a person with great success in society will have an unhappy family if this protection collapses. And I want to draw your attention to this word, protection. He uses it twice in this one paragraph. As parents, what do we offer children? What's the first thing you offer your children? Protection. First thing, when the child is left alone and there's no parent, what do? Cry. Someone come protect me. I'm alone here. I am afraid, right? When children are asleep alone and by themselves at night in the dark room, what do? They get scared, and what do they call out for? The police? FBI? No. Mom, Dad, I'm scared and lonely. Please come protect me tonight. My dad used to always protect me. When I'd see monster movies and I'd get scared at night, I'd be in my room crying. My dad would always be the one who'd come and hold me until I would fall asleep. I love my dad. Right. But I want you to make sure this understand that protection is also for husbands and wives. Husbands have to offer an area of protection for their wife. Wives have to offer protection for the husband, so the husband or wife comes home to a safe haven. It's really essential for you to create a happy family for both partners. It has to be, you have to create for your partner a safe haven where they feel safe and secure. So that's why Reverend Moon says this. The basis of love is that the heart sacrifices everything for the sake of the other. The reason parental love is true love is that parents are willing to give everything to their children, and when they have given everything, they want to give even more. Parents who love their children do not even remember what they have given, right? Romans 8:19-22 says, listen to this, because it all fits. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. What are we waiting for? True children. What are we accomplishing as Family Federation? Our goal is to create true children. That's our goal, right? For the creation was subjected to futility, not of its own will, but by the will of him who subjected it in hope, because the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to decay and obtain the glorious liberty of the children of God. What's our goal in life? What's our focus? What's our intent? To create children of God. That's what we're doing. First, second, third generation. To get children of God. That's what we're doing. Okay. This is what Reverend Moon says. Calvin, could you read for us?
The family is where we receive so much love that it overflows from our hearts. The family protects its members and its embrace, but its function is not to prevent love from getting out. In fact, the love in the family should overflow into the surrounding community. No matter how much love may overflow, the love in the family will never go dry. This is because it is received from God. The love we receive from God is such that we can't continue. We can continue to dig it out, but never see the bottom. In fact, the more we dig, the more love wells up, like pure spring water. Anyone who has been raised in this love can lead a true life.
See? He's showing us the way. He's showing us the way to true adults, mature children who can become the sons and daughters of God. That's what he's trying to teach us. Okay, now we teach this, right? We teach in the last 400 years, God has been preparing the world by establishing the three blessings on the worldwide level, right? And we talk about all these things: religious formation, political freedom, human rights, equality, democracy, intellectual development, censorship of international laws, end of slavery, post-war freeing colonies, etc., etc., centered around Christian culture, spirit, unprecedented science, technology, farming, green, blah, blah. All those things happened, right? All those things, we know it happened. You can write it down. There's books written about the Christian cultural sphere and how it's changing the world and feeding all humanity, etc., etc. There's books. But there's something else that's coming out of the Christian cultural sphere too, and that's what we call true love. That is the science of true love. It's not front page news, just like the Green Revolution is not front page news, but it's happening just the same. And I want you to understand it, I want you to learn it, and I want you to teach it, and I want you to practice it. That's what I believe Reverend Moon's message is for us today. For example, here's Desmond Morris. Desmond Morris, author of The Naked Ape, will publish his own baby care guide next week because he said too many help books for parents advocated unnatural and brutal child care techniques. How many people here were born lived through school in the 50s. Yeah, few of us, right? We lived through quite often. I remember that in my Catholic school, they used to hit us with sticks on our hands, right? Brutal. And they would have done worse things, but there were laws enacted. He says, I'm very angry that baby books have recently begun repeating the unnatural dictates from so-called child care experts of the past, who ordered mothers never to hug or kiss their babies and ignore them if they cry, said Morris. I nearly died when I was just a few months old thanks to a baby book. So I feel very strongly about it. You could say that I have a personal axe to grind. Listen to this. He says this happened to him. Morris was born in 1928 when the theories of American baby expert John Watson were in vogue. Watson, who believed parents should break the spirit of their infants in the same way that trainers tame a horse, called for babies to be put outside in their prams, regardless of the weather, and ignored if they cried. That's what this maniac thought. Right? And so he says what happened to him. Babies reared under Watson's severe regime often suffered as babies. Look, this is what teachers did when we were in the 50s, right? If you were naughty or talked in class, or like I remember one time talking during the Pledge of Allegiance, and they made me go sit in a room all by myself, solitary confinement for a little kid. That's what they did, right? Watson's severe regime often suffered, babies reared under Watson's severe regime often suffered as a baby. I belong to that generation. Left crying in my pram in a harsh east wind, I developed double pneumonia and nearly died. After that, my mother decided to abandon the teachings of the day and trust to her maternal instincts, what we would call our original mind. Okay? Listen. Okay, here's the culprit. John Broadus Watson, JBW, okay, was an American psychologist who established a psychological school of behaviorism, right? A review of general psychology survey published ranked Watson as the 17th, in 2002, 17th most cited psychologist of the 20th century. Now here's what he said about child rearing, right? He said, Watson wrote the book Psychological Care of Infant and Child in 1928, when Morris was born. In his book, he warns against the inevitable dangers of a mother providing too much love and affection. Watson explains that love, along with everything else, as a behaviorist saw the world, is conditioned. He said if you pick up your child when your child's crying, that will only train the child to cry more, right? John Watson told parents that babies need to learn to sleep on a regular schedule, that picking them up and holding them whenever they cry would only teach them to cry more and not to sleep through the night, a notion that he borrows from behaviorism. They were told to feed their child on a regular schedule whether the child's hungry or not, and that they should not pick them up, kiss them, or hug them because that would not prepare them to be strong and independent individuals in the harsh world, right? That's how the world was during the World War II generation, right? That's how the world understood life. Remember, you read books. If you talk to Marcus Fairford, where did he go to school? Do you ever talk to Marcus? They sent him away to boarding school. They thought he shouldn't be with his mom and dad. That would be a mistake. They create a weak-willed guy who could not subjugate the world if he grew up with his mom and dad. Ask Marcus. That's what happened to him. His dad was laying waste to Central Africa at the time. This was his job. Okay, this is from behaviorists. See the plant sort of sickly and weak? Behaviorist Dr. John Watson, this plant is not doing well. Perhaps it needs a little more punishment. Right? That's his basic idea. Right? We don't think so. This was 50s parenting. The kid's not getting good grades in school. Spank him harder. You guys remember that? Any of you guys remember that? You wouldn't do that to your kids nowadays, right? But that's what they used to do. In the 21st century, we realized the plant needs better nutrition, not more spanking, not solitary confinement, more or less water or more or less sunlight. Whatever it needs, you have to give the child the nutrition it needs, right? Likewise, Jesus came to teach us that the world needs more love. That's what children need. They need more love, not to be isolated or controlled or dominated or punished. For the growth and perfection of the spirit man, it needs nourishment. Basically, God's love. This is like the love of parents. All the same thing, right? All the same thing. So I believe at this point, and I try to explain things to people, the science of true love. There's a whole science of true love. Science of loving your children, right? It's called attachment parenting. It was originally discovered by John Bowlby. John Bowlby was a psychologist who took care of the orphan children The Jewish orphan children that escaped World War II came to England without their parents. His job was to protect them and take care of them. And he noticed that little kids, when they didn't have a mother or father to take care of them, became destructive, became sick, oftentimes died. So he's the one who studied. Without a mother's love, children will die. He said in 1949, Bowlby's earlier work on delinquent and affectionless children. He also studied, after that, he also studied children who were orphaned as semi-adults who committed crimes and things like that. And the effects of hospitalized institutionalized care led to his being commissioned to write the World Health Organization's report on the mental health of homeless children in post-war Europe. So he wrote a report, and here's what he discovered. The result was Maternal Care and Mental Health, published in 1951, shortly after World War II. Bowlby drew together such limited empirical evidence as existed at the time from across Europe and the USA. His main conclusion is that an infant and young child should experience a warm, intimate, and continuous relationship with his mother. Is that weird or what? Right? He's an exact opposite of the behaviorist, right? A child needs to receive love, nourishment. That's what the divine principle says. A child needs to receive love, affection, and then will grow to become a nice person, or a permanent mother substitute in which both find satisfaction and enjoyment, and to not do so may have significant and irreversible mental health consequences. Mental health consequences. He wrote this, early experiences, he didn't put the picture, I did. Early experiences with caregivers gradually give rise to a system of thoughts, memories, beliefs, expectations, emotions, and behavior about the self and others. When a child feels love and feels a safe haven, then the child is free to explore, free to develop themselves, free to talk, free to express all those different kinds of good, positive emotions, right? Research indicates that attachment pattern distributions are consistent across cultures. It doesn't matter if we're talking about Asian children or white children or Europeans or Germans or Spanish, whatever it is, it's all the same. Although the manner in which attachment is expressed may differ, right? For example, Koreans, originally this tradition, Korean mother, Koreans, this is where Reverend Moon gets his ideas from. This is how Koreans do farming, with their baby strapped to them. And what they discovered is the baby can feel his mother's heartbeat. The baby can feel the movement of the mother and feel safe. And when he feels safe, he's free now to look around, see, and learn things because he's in a safe environment. And the bad effects of stress, cortisone, and other kinds of things that hurt us, little children like this don't have those kinds of things. So they discovered this is how we raise, this is the modern, clear way to raise children. This is why Father says, no matter how much a man and woman may love each other, a complete and happy family must have parents who act as a protective shield around the home. And when a family is protected, it becomes a nesting place for happiness. That's what that means, a safe haven where children are free to grow, to explore, to express themselves, to question, to ask questions, to do all those kinds of things, right? So for all you young men and women here who aren't married yet, you should think, when I get, this is what I'm going to create. I'm going to create a safe haven. I'm going to create a safe haven for my children that they can grow, right? Proverbs 22:6, train the young in the way they should go. Even when they're old, they will not swerve from it. So children raised with fathers and mothers who love them, kiss them, love them, appreciate them, extol them, hold them, make a safe haven for them, those children will grow up in a world where they think this is how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be loving, accepting, patient, kind, etc., etc. Listen to this story. Here's an old Chinese lady. These are all her kids she found. China has a one-child policy, where if you have a second child, they tax you, they hurt you, right? So, although 88-year-old Lu Xiaoxing may now be close to death, she will not soon be forgotten in her home city of Jinhua. The Daily Mail on Monday recorded the astonishing story of the elderly woman whose meager living recycling trash did not stop her from bringing home and caring for all the abandoned infants she came across, all 30 of them. Because what happens is if you have a second child in China, they punish you. So if they had a second child, they would abandon the child and she would find them. She says, listen to this story of this lady. I realized if we had strength enough to collect garbage and recycle garbage, how could we not recycle something as important as human lives, she said. These children need love and care. They're all precious human lives. I do not understand how people can leave such a vulnerable baby on the streets, right? Because the government's forcing it, whatever. The main point is children are valuable. We say this is the original mind of human beings to appreciate and love children. All children, right? Doesn't matter if you're Eskimos or what. John Bowlby says, for infants and toddlers, a set goal of the attachment behavioral system is to maintain or achieve proximity to attachment figures, usually the parents. Divine Principle explains it's the parents. It could be uncles and aunts, but we believe it's parents, right? Children need to see and know they can depend on their parents' love, loyalty, and protection. When they see and feel that, they can grow and expand, and they can challenge the system or do whatever they need to do if they feel there's a safe haven for them to come home to, right? There's a safe haven. They can feel free to express themselves in public. Here's a book that you could read if you want to. It's called The Baby Book. Everything you need to know about your baby. Now, this is based on John Bowlby's work, but it's modernized and made clear for young adults. Dr. Sears, a pediatrician, has studied Dr. Bowlby and wrote an up-to-date book on them called The Modern Family, unlike the Modern Family television show. But I have a copy of it, and I would like to share. I wish everyone would read this book because it's clear. When we read Father's words and then you read Dr. Sears, you understand how absolutely correct True Father was, how absolutely perfectly correct he was in his writings. Okay? Here's another book called Love Sense, Revolutionary New Science of Romantic Relationships. Drawing on groundbreaking research, Love Sense reveals that romantic love is an attachment bond, just like that between mother and child. She is Dr. Sue Johnson. You can read her book. You can get it on eBay for about $11. And she says, emotional interaction with partner buffers us from stress and makes us stronger in the face of life's challenges. Touch and intimacy spurs the growth of mirror neurons, which help us read and respond to our partners. A good relationship is the best recipe for happiness and good health, and a powerful antidote for aging. Okay? Anyway, I suggest it's also based on John Bowlby's work, the idea of attachment bonding, creating a safe haven where your wife is free to grow emotionally, or your husband is free to grow emotionally. And that's what it's about, right? I have a copy here. If anyone wants to look it over and look at any of these things, I have copies here. Read it, study. You'll learn a lot about your spouse and yourself. It really writes about you. What's your relationship? How do you relate to people? Anyhow. And then I'll mention this again. You can also listen to David Young April 28th, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on FFWPU. And he has a lot of these same ideas. I suggest you listen to him. This is from Dr. Sears' book. This is a picture from Dr. Sears' book. You see a mother's doing the same thing the Korean lady does, right? And the baby is now free to look around, right? Free, not afraid of the world, but open eyes, clear eyes, feels attached to her mother, feels love, feels protection. Her mother's always there to protect her from whatever, and the child grows in love. That's the idea. It's a simple idea, right? 1 John 3:1. See what love the Father has bestowed on us, that we may be called the children of God. Yet so we are. The reason the world does not know us is that it did not know him. So there is a whole world. You're asking yourselves, why does it seem like the world is all against marriage, family, Christianity, all those kinds of things? There's a huge part of the world that's on our side. Huge part of the world that isn't publicized well, but people are understanding these kinds of things. So you see here the idea of a family. Here's a husband, wife, little kid, and look at how the little kid is. Is the little kid stressed out, frightened, shaking, timid, afraid? No. The little kid's sleeping peacefully. Why? Because Big Dad's there to protect him from dangers outside the world. Should a grizzly bear attack, Dad would be there. A mother's there to protect him from dangers inside the house in the local garden area, right? That's how it's supposed to work. It's all right. Dads fight grizzly bears. I'm going to skip these. But look, here's another one. Dr. Gordon, 2 tips on parenting based on Dr. Bowlby's. You can see it at YouTube at whatever that address is. Anyway, call me and I'll send you an email. But I'm going to skip that today. Look, interesting enough, how many of you people watch The Big Bang Theory? Anybody? It's okay if you admit it. It's all right. It's not a judgment. It's if you like it, it's okay. I see it sometimes because it is sort of funny. Interestingly enough, nobody in the show is a scientist except her. She's actually a real neuroscientist. Did you know that? She has a PhD in neuroscience. This is Amaya Balick, who went to study for a doctorate in neuroscience, right? She has also written 2 books with pediatrician Jay Gordon. Beyond the Sling is about attachment parenting. So believe it or not, this is becoming very popular for millennials in the non-mainstream. It's becoming very popular. So she raised her children in an attachment. She stopped work, stayed home, raised her 2 children, and went back to acting to make millions of dollars and bring her children to the set. Anyhow, I'm just telling you this. There's an underlying current of true parenting, right? We use the term true parent, of true parenting developing in the world. So don't feel that we're alone in teaching divine principle or true family value. Don't think we're alone. More and more and more people are catching this scientific side, and we're simply sparked to help them grow. So this was always in the divine principle. Physical man, for the growth and life of the physical man, it needs nourishment, positive nutrients and negative nutriments. Positive nutriments are without form and come from the sky, sun, rays, and air. Negative nutriments have form and come from the earth, water and food, right? Physical man gives vitality elements to the spirit man. So we say, just like the plant, for your body to grow, you have to have nutrients, right? You have to have proteins, fats, carbohydrates. What else? Water, right? Vitamins are simply a different type of protein, by the way. Spirit man. The spirit man consists of spirit, mind, and spirit body. The spirit mind is subject and controls the spirit body, which is object. Spirit mind is the most valuable part of the man. Your spirit mind is the most valuable part of you, right? And is a place where God can live. Because of this, man becomes the Son of God and the Lord of all creation. And listen to this. For the growth and perfection of the most valuable part of you, your spirit man, it needs nourishment. Positive nutrients and negative nutrients. The positive nutrients are the life elements from God, basically God's love. This is like the parental love which children need to grow to maturity. Is that obvious? This is what we're doing. We're raising children by giving them love. By giving them love. However, through the fall of man, left God's realm of love and fell into the dominion of evil where he could not receive God's love. So, fallen man and spirit man cannot receive God's love, life elements, and cannot grow to perfection. That was old 1950s parents who would hit you with a stick when you got an F in English. Remember that? I remember it. Fallen man must be restored to the original dominion of God's love by the Messiah through his faith and fulfillment of responsibility. That's why divine principle is so important. The negative nutrients for the growth of the spirit man are the vitality elements from the physical man. When the physical man follows the direction of the spirit mind, centering on God's will, then the physical man gives stimulating energy for growth to the spirit man. So 2 things, the 2 elements you need for your spirit man to grow is you must receive love from God, which is like your parents. Your children need to receive from the parents, which is like God's love, another type of nutrient. So keep loving your children no matter what. Keep loving your kids just like True Father says, and they're going to grow in spite of you. They're going to grow. Just kidding about the last remark. Okay. Spirit man gives spirit elements to the physical man. These are the elements to produce spiritual joy or give new energy to the physical man. Okay, I thought let's do a little Hunda Kwe session here. For those who would like to read, we'll take turns reading. We're going to just read Father's chapter on true love is found in true families. Why don't we start with Big John? You want to read for us here?
True love is found in true families. No matter how much a man and a woman may love each other, a complete and happy family must have parents who act as a protective shield around the home. And there must be at least one child for the parents to love. When a family is protected, it becomes a nesting place for happiness. Even a person with great success in society will have an unhappy family if this protection collapses. The basis of love is the heart that sacrifices everything for the sake of the other. The reason parental love is true love is that parents are willing to give everything to their children. When they have given everything, they want to give even more. Parents who love their children do not even remember what they have given.
Right, parents? I don't remember. I just wish I could give my kids more. Don't you guys? Right? You guys who are kids don't know that. Your parents want to give you everything, but sometimes we don't have the material resources to do that, but we want to. Next reader. Anybody in the back row want to read? Okay.
No parent would keep track of all the shoes and clothes he bought his child and say, "This is how much I spent on it." Instead, a parent gives everything he has and says, "I wish I could do more than I have. And I am sorry that I cannot." As a child, I would follow my father around as he tended to his bee colony, and I saw how the bees behaved. When a bee flying around the flower garden caught the fragrance of the flower, it would place its blade firmly on the flower. It would then stick its nose deep into the flower, so that its rear end was pointing upward while it sucked up the nectar. If you grabbed the bee on its rear end, it would not let go of the flower. It risked its life to keep its hold on the flower. The love of parents cultivating a family is like the honeybee attached to the flower. Even if a parent should lose his own life, he will never let go of the bond of love that ties him to his child. Parents will lay down their lives for the sake of the child, and then later forget that they have done so. This is the true love of parents. No matter how far or dangerous the path may be, the parent will gladly travel. Parental love is the greatest love of all. A person can live in a wonderful house and eat exotic food from the mountains and the ocean, but if he has no parents, there will be a large void in his heart. A person who has grown up without receiving parental love has a loneliness and emptiness in his heart that cannot be filled with anything.
Right? That's why we call on God as our true parent. That's why we use the term true parent for God. When we're broken and hurt, whatever happened to your parents, first generation had many issues with their parents, then we call on God to fill that void. There is a way to fill that void. It's called God. It's called salvation. It's called spiritual forgiveness. Next reader, somebody over here want to read?
The family is the place where we receive true love and learn true love. Children who do not receive true love when they are young live their entire lives hungering for love and suffer emotional pain. Not only that, they don't have the opportunity to learn the lovely moral duties that they must fulfill from the family and society. True love is a value that cannot be learned any place other than the family.
Any comments? If you read, you can say a comment if you feel like saying a comment. Next reader.
Family is a place where a husband and wife each love the other and live for the sake of the other. And if the spouse were either her mother, father, or sibling, it's a place where the husband loves his wife as he loves God, and the wife respects her husband as she respects God. Cannot forsake our siblings, no matter the difficulties we may face. Neither can we forsake our mothers, so the term divorce cannot even exist.
Ideally, that's what we're striving to accomplish, right? And this is always very interesting. A true family is a place where the husband and wife each love the other and live for the sake of the other, as if the spouse were his or her mother, fathers. What he's trying to say is what the psychologist discovered, that as a husband, I had to give that same attachment and bond, the same safe haven to my wife. And as a wife, you had to give that same attachment bond or safe haven to your husband. If you want your love to grow, then creating a safe haven for your partner is really, really important. It takes thought, it takes prayer, it takes a lot to be able to accomplish that, but that's what we're trying to accomplish. That's what Reverend Moon is trying to teach us. Again, not me, this is what Reverend Moon is trying to teach us. Next reader, Big Al.
Is in the place of father and older brother to the wife. This is a wife who never forsake her father or older brother. She can never forsake her husband. The same way, husband can never forsake his wife. A true family is a place where each spouse lives with acknowledgement of the absolute value of the parent.
Comments? Next reader.
It doesn't matter if the husband and wife come from different races or cultures. The only family that is God's love. And no compromise.
other, Big Al?
Family is the school where love for humanity is taught and learned. When children who are raised in the warm love of their parents go out into the world, they will care for people in difficulty in the manner they learned in their home. People raised in loving relationships with their own brothers and sisters will go into society and share their caring hearts with their neighbors. People raised in love will look upon each other as they meet in the world as a member of their own family. The starting point for a true family is the heart of love that treats strangers as family and shares with them.
Another reason the family is important is that it expands to become the world. A true family is the basis for forming a true society, for nation, and for world. It is the starting point toward a world of peace that is God's kingdom. Parents will work for their children until their adult spouse away. They are not working just to feed their own children, however. A person whose heart overflows with love is capable of working to protect others and God.
The family is where we receive so much love that it overflows from our hearts. The family protects its members in its embrace, but its function is not to prevent love from getting out. In fact, the love in the family should overflow into the surrounding community. No matter how much love may overflow, the love in the family will never go dry. This is because it is received from God. The love we receive from God is such that we can continue to dig it out, but never see the bottom. In fact, the more we dig, the more love wells up like pure spring water. Anyone who has been raised in this love can lead a true life. That's what we believe, right? So who's this sermon for? As I mentioned, ACLC, because these are the ideas we want to teach to ministers, so they teach their churches to do this. Witnessing to your friends' tribe, teach them the theories of love and spiritual development. You should get these books, get Father's autobiography, and share this with brothers and sisters. First gen, hopefully you'll become wonderful grandparents and young adults someday. You may, God willing, have children of your own. You can grow children that become one with God. Amen? Amen. God bless you. Thank you for reading. Thank you, everybody. Have a round of applause for True Parents' Words.